Hello everybody, my name is Dragon. Welcome back my channel Health Fitness 1047. Here is the episode new. Follow me.
Director Wang Dong-hyuk confirmed that Squid Game 3 Inches will be the final part, ending the journey full of blood and tears with a story that touches the abyss of despair. If Part 2 is the dark transformation of Seong Ji-hun, who went from a survivor to a rebel against the system, Part 3 is promised to be a place where even the faintest hope is extinguished. The director admitted, the journey to overthrow the force that organizes the death games may fail, but it is still worth pursuing. The finale will have the strongest message of all 3 seasons, and leave open the possibility of producing spin-offs, especially about the Jun-ho and In-ho brothers, or the gaps between Season 1 and Season 2. 1. The transformation of the main character, Seong Ji-hun, from player to rebel. One of the most fascinating elements of Squid Game is not just the creepy survival game, but the psychological transformation of the main character. In Season 1, Ji-hun is a victim, a person who is cornered by debt and social injustice. But in Season 2, he becomes a system buster, someone who not only survives, but also chooses to return to hell to destroy it. This is a symbolic transformation, not unlike a declaration of war against the invisible power mechanism, where people are turned into pawns in the game of the chaebol. Ji-hun is not a Hollywood-style hero. He is not perfect, sometimes even naive, but director Wang himself asserted, we need people like him, courageous and daring, even when they know they might fail. Ji-hun is the embodiment of indomitability, the type of person who hits a rock with an egg, but still stands up, even though he knows the result could be bloodshed. 2. Touching the abyss of despair, a denser theme in Part 3. The director's desire to push the story to the depths of despair is a bold statement. This means that Part 3 will not have a Hollywood-style light at the end of the tunnel, but may have a dark ending in the style of Greek tragedy, painful, decisive, but profound. The question, what lies beyond despair, is an important philosophy that Part 3 can exploit. If people lose all hope, are they still human? Can the desire for change sprout in the dead soil? Or is it when there is nothing left to lose that people are truly free? This is no longer a battle for survival on the physical front, but a battle of the spirit. And what is more terrifying than death is the corruption of the will. 3. Deep social meaning. When evil lies not in an individual, but in the whole system. Wang Dong-hyuk once shared, I wrote Squid Game based on my own experience of Korean society, where the gap between rich and poor, the despair of the lower class, and the cruelty of the system have become the norm. Part 1 is a reflection. When people are pushed to the limit, they are forced to accept the rules of the game of the strong. Part 2 is an awakening. And Part 3, it may be the end, or the beginning of another tragic cycle. In an increasingly polarized global context, Squid Game becomes a symbol of the times. When the rules of the game are set by the rich, when the poor have no choice, and when resistance becomes a crime. One. A tragic ending, not to satisfy, but to awaken. If Wang Dong-hyuk really brings Squid Game 3 to the most desperate ending, it will not be a pleasant ending for viewers. But it will be the most realistic ending in a world where the weak are always forgotten. There will be no miracles, no supernatural heroes. Maybe Ji-hun will die. Maybe the organization will still exist. But more importantly, a person has chosen not to bow to the machine that crushes people. And that is another victory of humanity. 2. Potential spin-offs, expanding the world of Squid Game. The story of the In-ho, Jun-ho brothers is an attractive opening. In-ho, the winner, but chose to be the frontman. Jun-ho, the young police officer who was killed by the organization when he infiltrated to investigate, Is In-ho a victim or an accomplice? Is Jun-ho still alive? And if he is alive, will he become the second Gi-hun? These are storylines that can become spin-offs with very clear investigative, political, social colors. Squid Game 3 is not simply the conclusion of a famous survival series. It is the final statement of a director who wants to portray the darkest picture of society, from which to illuminate the nature of human beings. And when the game ends, the remaining question is not who wins, but who still keeps their soul.